Hello, my dear friends. I'm Dr. Eleanor Hayes, a gerontologist with over 40 years of experience helping older adults navigate the beautiful, sometimes challenging journey of aging. Welcome to Aging with Graces, where we talk about the things that truly matter as we embrace this stage of life with wisdom, dignity, and independence. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that as you get older, there are certain things you should keep to yourself? You love your children, your family, and your friends, but deep down, you know that not every detail of your life needs to be shared. And trust me, that's not about being secretive. It's about protecting your peace, maintaining your independence, and ensuring your relationships stay strong and healthy. Today, I'm sharing with you 7 secrets, 7 things that older adults should consider keeping to themselves. These aren't about hiding the truth or pushing loved ones away. Quite the opposite. These are the things that, if shared too openly, can lead to unnecessary stress, misunderstandings, or even unintended consequences in your relationships with your children and family. Some of these might surprise you. For example, should you tell your children every detail about your finances? Should they know about every little ache and pain you experience? And what about the unexpected joys of solitude? Do they need to know how much you truly enjoy your time alone? And just wait until we get to number 7. This one might just change the way you think about aging forever. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into these powerful insights that will help you navigate this stage of life with confidence and grace. Because aging isn't about losing control. It's about choosing what to share, what to protect, and how to live on your terms. Are you ready? Let's begin. As I've spent the years helping countless individuals navigate the challenges of aging, I've come to realize that there are certain things that, for the sake of peace and mental well-being, we should keep to ourselves. These aren't secrets out of malice or avoidance. They're simple truths that, when shared too openly with our loved ones, can cause more harm than good. So, let me share with you the 7 things that, in my experience, it's better not to burden our children with. Let's start with the most delicate one: finances. Oh, how many times have I heard older adults whisper in my ear, Eleanor, I've worked my whole life to be financially independent, but should I share this with my children? The truth is, for many of us, financial security is the result of years of hard work, careful planning, and saving. But when we tell our children about our financial independence, it can trigger a variety of emotions: concern, worry, or even entitlement. And while it may be well intended, sharing too many details can lead to unnecessary stress, both for us and for them. It's often better to let them enjoy our presence without the burden of worrying about our resources or assuming that they will one day depend on them. Then there's health. Aging brings its share of physical changes, some of them unsettling, perhaps a sore knee here, or a more serious condition that requires constant management. It's so tempting to confide in our children, to share every ache and pain, thinking it will bring us closer. But, my dear friends, too much sharing can sometimes weigh down their hearts with unnecessary worry. They're already balancing their own lives, their families, their jobs, and they don't need to constantly fret over our well-being. Sometimes, it's better to keep the most personal health struggles private, especially when we're managing them ourselves, and they don't need immediate attention. Now, here's a secret that many don't like to admit: the joy of solitude. As we get older, we may find that being alone doesn't feel like loneliness at all. In fact, it can be a peaceful retreat, a chance to finally focus on ourselves after years of caring for others. And yet, when we share this with our children, They might feel concerned or think that we're isolated and sad. But in truth, those moments of quiet reflection, reading a book, or simply enjoying a cup of tea in silence are some of the most fulfilling parts of aging. Keeping this to ourselves preserves the joy and freedom that solitude brings without burdening our loved ones with unfounded fears. Then, there are those life decisions like downsizing to a smaller home or moving to a new community. Often, children assume these choices are driven by physical decline or financial hardship. But for many of us, these decisions are deeply personal. Perhaps it's about reclaiming our time, reducing responsibilities, or choosing a lifestyle that aligns better with our current needs. When we don't explain these choices fully, we protect our peace of mind and keep our autonomy intact. After all, we've earned the right to make decisions that suit us best, regardless of what others might think. And let's not forget our regrets. Every life has them. Mistakes made in youth, opportunities missed, relationships that didn't work out the way we hoped. It's easy to feel the urge to unload these regrets onto our children, to share the lessons we've learned the hard way. But why? Why burden them with pain we've already reconciled in our own hearts? Often, these old wounds don't need to be reopened, especially when they serve no other purpose than to evoke sorrow or guilt in the next generation. One of the hardest things to keep secret is our personal rituals, those little habits or traditions that provide comfort. Whether it's a quiet walk at dawn or the way we celebrate our birthdays, these small joys are ours alone. If we're honest, we may worry that our children will see these habits as quirky or out of place, but they are part of what keeps us grounded and happy. And so, these little traditions, these cherished routines, are better kept private, not because they're wrong, but because they're part of who we are in this stage of life. Lastly, perhaps the most deeply hidden fear we carry is the fear of becoming a burden. As we grow older, the thought of needing help, of relying on our children, can feel like a heavy weight. We don't want to impose on them or create an extra burden in their already busy lives. But the truth is, we can't always do it all ourselves. And sometimes, allowing ourselves to need help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of trust. We just need to remember that asking for help, when necessary, doesn't make us a burden, it simply allows our loved ones to show their care and support in a meaningful way. So, my dear friends, these are the 7 secrets I believe we should keep to ourselves, not out of secrecy or shame, but out of love and respect for both ourselves and our children. Aging is a beautiful, complicated journey, and by choosing what to share and what to protect, we can navigate it with grace, dignity, and peace of mind. Remember, it's not about hiding the truth. It's about protecting your independence and peace. Thank you for joining me today. I hope these insights will help you continue your journey with wisdom and confidence. You know, as I reflect on the aging process, there's one thing that stands out above all else: how deeply connected we are to our families, and how aging can change the way we relate to them. It's so easy to forget, as we raise our children, that one day they'll be the ones who care for us. And that thought, well, it's both a gift and a burden, isn't it? As a mother, a daughter, and a professional, I've seen firsthand how the relationship between parents and their children evolves with age. It's not just about giving advice, making decisions, or passing down family traditions. It's about navigating a delicate dance of independence, vulnerability, and love. It's about knowing when to ask for help and when to step back. But sometimes, in this intricate web of relationships, things can get complicated. For many of us, the fear of becoming a burden on our children is one of the most painful and isolating aspects of getting older. I've heard this fear voiced by so many seniors in my practice, people who are otherwise strong, independent, and proud, yet unable to shake the nagging worry that they'll one day become too much for their children to bear. I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with someone who hesitates to ask for help, even when they need it the most, because they don't want to make their children feel obligated or guilty. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? To be so filled with love for your family, yet be afraid of becoming a source of stress for them. And what's worse, we often hide this fear, thinking we're protecting them from the weight of our concerns. But in reality, keeping this fear inside can create distance between us and the very people we love most. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a woman named Margaret, a client of mine who's in her late 70s. She told me, "Eleanor, I don't want my children to see me as weak or needy. I've spent my whole life taking care of them, and now I don't know how to let them take care of me." Margaret's words broke my heart because I could feel the immense pride, the years of dedication, and the deep love she had for her children. But I also knew that, by holding on to this fear of being a burden, she was robbing herself of the opportunity to experience the loving care that her children were more than willing to give. And that, my dear friends, is where we find ourselves balancing the desire for independence with the need for connection. It's not just about our health, our finances, or the way we live our lives in our later years. It's about sharing those parts of ourselves with our children in a way that strengthens the bond we have with them without overwhelming them. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, to ask for help when we need it, and to let go of the guilt that often comes with the aging process. I know from my own experiences and from countless conversations with older adults that it can feel incredibly difficult to let our children in. We want to protect them from worry, from the fear of what might come in the future. But sometimes, sharing those feelings, the concerns about our health, the worry that we might need more assistance as time goes on, or even the simple fact that we're afraid of losing our independence, can actually bring us closer together. It's through this sharing that we find new ways to support one another, ways we never even thought possible. You see, aging isn't about just holding on to the past. It's about embracing the present, sharing our journey with the people we love, and creating new ways to stay connected as we all grow older together. So, as we continue on this path of life, let's keep the conversation going. Let's create a space where we can talk openly about our fears, our hopes, and our desires, not just for ourselves, but for our families too. Aging isn't a solitary journey, after all. We all walk this path together, and it's in our connections, in our willingness to be vulnerable, that we find the true joy of growing older. Thank you for joining me today on Aging with Grace. I hope that, by sharing these thoughts, you found comfort in knowing you're not alone in these feelings. We're all in this together always. Curiosity, it's something that drives us all, isn't it? We all wonder about the things that aren't said out loud, the feelings that are kept hidden behind closed doors. And for older adults, this sense of secrecy often comes from a place of love, a desire to protect the ones they care about. But the truth is, many of us carry with us secrets, things that we don't share with our children, not because we want to deceive them, but because we want to protect them. These secrets are often the quiet, unspoken feelings that swirl around in the back of our minds. They're not things we talk about at the dinner table or bring up in casual conversation. And yet, these hidden thoughts and emotions shape so much of how we live, especially as we grow older. For instance, how many of us have ever worried about becoming a burden to our children, about needing more help than we're comfortable asking for? It's a fear that many older adults share, but it's often left unspoken. I remember a conversation I had with one of my clients, a woman named Dorothy, who was in her early 80s. She told me that she kept her health concerns from her children because she didn't want them to worry. She said, "I've lived a full life, Eleanor, and I don't want them to think they have to take care of me." Dorothy's voice cracked as she said this, and I could hear the deep love she had for her children in every word. She didn't want to cause them stress or anxiety, even though she was struggling with some health issues. But here's the thing. By keeping these feelings of fear and concern to herself, Dorothy wasn't just protecting her children, she was also isolating herself. She was carrying the weight of her worries alone. And that, my friends, is a heavy burden to bear. And this is a common experience for so many older adults. They keep their feelings and fears to themselves because they believe that by doing so, they're sparing their children from unnecessary worry. But in truth, this silence can lead to distance, to a feeling of disconnect that no one truly wants. This is where the power of opening up just a little comes into play. When we, as older adults, begin to share these secrets, these feelings, we not only lighten our own emotional load, but we also invite our children into our lives in a deeper, more meaningful way. And surprisingly, most children want to be there for their parents. They want to support them, even if it means facing difficult conversations. Think about it. How often do we keep quiet about the financial independence we've worked so hard to achieve because we don't want our children to feel entitled or concerned? Or the small joys we find in solitude because we fear being labeled as lonely? These are the hidden aspects of aging that we rarely talk about, yet they hold such profound importance in our lives. In today's society, we don't often hear these e-secrets being shared, especially by older adults. There's a sort of unspoken code to keep things private, to protect our children from the realities of growing older. But what if we could open up these conversations, share our fears, our hopes, our struggles, and our victories? What if we stopped holding everything in, pretending like we have everything together, when sometimes we don't? When we start talking about these hidden truths, whether it's the fear of becoming a burden, the desire to maintain our independence, or the guilt we feel about asking for help, we make space for a more honest, more compassionate connection. We allow our children to see us as we truly are, not just as parents who have it all figured out, but as human beings, struggling and growing just like they are. This is where true understanding begins. As we continue exploring these topics on aging with grace, I want to encourage you to start thinking about the secrets you may be holding on to. What are the things you're keeping from your children, your loved ones? Are you afraid they'll worry about your health? Or are you hiding your desire for some time alone, afraid they'll think you're lonely? The more we talk about these issues, the more we can create a space where our aging process is seen as a natural part of life, a part that doesn't need to be shrouded in silence or fear. We don't have to face it alone, and neither do our children. Thank you for being here with me today on Aging with Grace. Remember, it's okay to let these secrets out, to share your concerns and your joys. You're not alone, and you don't have to carry the weight of aging by yourself. Together, we can navigate this journey with more love, more understanding, and more grace. As we continue this conversation, I want to take a moment to talk about something that's so important, something we sometimes overlook as we grow older ourselves: the love and responsibility we have towards our parents. You see, these secrets we've been discussing, the things older adults keep to themselves, are not about hiding the truth. They're about love. They're about trying to protect us, their children, from unnecessary worry and pressure. And when we understand that, it changes everything. I know many of you watching today may have experienced this feeling before. Maybe you've noticed your parents being more private about their health, their finances, or even their desires for independence. And at first, you might have felt frustrated, maybe even hurt, thinking they were keeping things from you, not letting you in. But the truth is, it's often a sign of how much they care for you. They don't want to add more to your plate. They don't want you to carry the burden of their aging or their fears. I'll share another story with you. A few years ago, I had a conversation with a woman named Margaret. Margaret was in her late 70s, and she had been hiding her growing financial independence from her children. She had worked hard all her life, saved diligently, and was finally able to live comfortably. But she never told her children about her newfound financial freedom. She was afraid they would feel entitled, that they would think she owed them money, or worse, that they might worry about her needing help in the future. When Margaret finally opened up to her children, they were shocked, not because they were upset or angry, but because they felt guilty. They had no idea their mother was carrying this burden alone, thinking she was just getting by. They felt a deep sense of responsibility toward her, but had no idea how to help because she hadn't shared the full picture. This moment of honesty changed their entire dynamic. Margaret's children were able to take on some of the emotional weight their mother had been carrying. And Margaret, for the first time, didn't feel the need to protect them from her struggles. Instead, she allowed them to step in, to care for her in a way that was healthy for everyone. This is the kind of shift we need to embrace. It's so easy to forget that our parents, the people who have always cared for us, are trying to protect us from the same anxieties that we often feel. When we open up about these fears, the fear of becoming a burden, the fear of losing our independence, it doesn't make us weaker. It makes us stronger. It opens up a space for deeper understanding, and it allows us to be more responsible in how we care for our aging parents. You see, the more we understand these secrets, the more compassion we can offer. And that's the real responsibility we have, to show our parents that we can bear some of their burdens, to listen without judgment, and to offer the care they so freely gave us when we were younger. I want to encourage all of you watching to reflect on how you approach your relationship with your parents. Are you really listening to what they're not saying? Are you offering them the space to express their fears and needs, even if they're reluctant to share them? The next time you feel your parent pulling away, or seem to be holding back, try to be more understanding. They're not trying to push you away, they're trying to protect you. And remember, this isn't just about our parents, it's about all of us. As we age, we too will carry these secrets, these fears, and will want the same understanding, the same love from our children. It's about creating a cycle of care, of mutual respect, and of love that transcends the barriers of aging. As we continue our journey together here on Aging with Grace, let's keep that in mind. Love is not just about the things we say to each other, but the things we don't. It's about understanding the hidden meanings behind the silences and the courage it takes to finally open up and be vulnerable. Thank you for being part of this journey. Remember, the love you share with your parents can be even more powerful when you understand their hidden truths. Keep listening, keep caring, and above all, keep loving. As we've already touched upon, the beauty of aging isn't just in the wisdom that comes with time, but in the relationships we continue to build and nurture. And let's not forget, relationships are built on understanding and communication. You see, too often we get caught up in the pressures of daily life, the rush to solve problems, to get everything right, and we forget to stop, listen, and truly understand what the people closest to us are going through. Take a moment and think about your own family, your parents, your grandparents, or maybe even someone else who has been a guiding figure in your life. Do you really know what they're thinking? Do you know their fears, their hopes, their unspoken desires? More often than not, our loved ones, especially the elderly, keep so much inside because they don't want to burden us. They may fear that by sharing too much, they will make us feel obligated, anxious, or even helpless. But these are not burdens. These are emotions that need to be heard and understood. That's where we, as children, as caretakers, come in. It's our responsibility to foster that understanding, to create a space where communication can happen without judgment or fear. It's not about fixing everything or finding an immediate solution. It's about being present, truly listening, and responding with compassion. Because when we do that, when we break through those walls of silence that often surround sensitive topics like health, finances, and the fear of becoming a burden, we open the door to a relationship that is richer, more meaningful, and more fulfilling. Now, I know it's not always easy. Sometimes, the older generation may not want to talk about what they're really feeling, especially when they've spent a lifetime keeping certain things to themselves. And I understand that. It takes time to trust again, to feel comfortable sharing fears that have been hidden for years. But that's why the role we play is so vital. We must be patient, understanding, and most importantly, we must make it clear that they are not alone in this journey. I want to share something personal with you now. A few years ago, I had a conversation with my own mother, who had always been the strong one in our family. She was a woman of few words, but her actions spoke volumes. It wasn't until I really started listening, really asking her how she was doing beyond the surface, that she finally opened up. She told me she had been hiding her fears about her declining health, her anxiety over her financial future, and her concern that she might, one day, be a burden to me and my siblings. It was hard for her to admit these things, but once she did, something incredible happened. We became closer. We understood each other on a level we hadn't before. This is the kind of transformation I want to encourage for all of us. By taking the time to listen, to truly engage, we break down the barriers that often divide us. We create an environment where both generations, ours and the older one, can thrive in understanding, respect, and care. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this conversation today, it's this. Communication is the bridge that connects generations. It's not just about talking, but about really hearing each other. So, as you go about your day, whether you're talking to your parents or grandparents, I encourage you to take a step back. Don't just listen with your ears, listen with your heart. Remember, the secrets they keep aren't about hiding the truth. They are simply about protecting you, about shielding you from unnecessary worry. When you recognize that, when you understand the reasons behind those unspoken words, you'll find that your relationship with your parents will become something more beautiful than you ever expected. And as we continue this journey here on Aging with Grace, let's make a promise to ourselves to always listen, to always understand, and to always communicate with love. It's never too late to start. And together, we can make sure that the later years in life are filled not with silence and hidden fears, but with connection, love, and peace of mind. As we've discussed the importance of communication, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about something that's equally crucial in our lives as we age our freedom and independence. It's a topic that holds immense value for us, particularly for those who have spent a lifetime making decisions, managing households, and taking care of others. No one understands this better than the elderly, whose lives have often been shaped by years of responsibility and self-sufficiency. For many of us, the idea of independence isn't just a luxury, it's a deep-seated need. It's the ability to live life on our own terms, without feeling like we are constantly being watched, judged, or dependent on others. When we reach a certain age, this sense of autonomy becomes even more vital. We no longer want to be seen as fragile, incapable, or in need of constant care. Instead, we long for the same freedom we've always had the ability to make our own decisions, to live without unnecessary interference, and to maintain our dignity and independence. And let me tell you, this is something I've seen time and time again in my work with seniors. The elderly often carry a silent fear that, as they grow older, they will lose the very thing that has defined them for so long, their ability to make decisions for themselves. Whether it's about how they spend their time, what they choose to eat, or even where they live, they want to feel in control. And this is where we, as family members, need to step in and offer not just our support, but our respect. I've had many clients in my career, people I've worked with closely, who have confessed that one of their greatest fears as they age is the loss of independence. They fear becoming a burden, yes, but they also fear losing the freedom that has always been a part of their identity. I remember one particular client, an elderly woman named Grace, who had spent her entire life as a strong, independent individual. As she aged, she was offered a move to a retirement community. But she hesitated for one reason. She wasn't ready to give up her home, her routine, and the ability to live on her own terms. When I spoke to her about it, she explained that she feared that by moving, she would lose a sense of control over her life. She felt like the move might strip away her freedom, and that, in turn, would make her feel less like herself. She wasn't rejecting help. She was rejecting the idea of feeling like her independence was being taken away from her. And when I listened to her, I realized just how powerful the need for independence truly is. It wasn't about the location of her home, it was about the power to make choices, big and small, for herself. This is why, in my opinion, respecting the freedom of our elderly loved ones is essential. We have to understand that just because someone is aging doesn't mean they should lose their right to choose how they live. It's about creating a balance between providing support and allowing them to maintain their independence. For some, that might mean living alone for as long as possible. For others, it might mean making decisions about their health without constant interference. The key is to listen to their needs, respect their choices, and never take away their sense of self. At Aging with Grace, we recognize that the most important gift we can offer to the elderly is not just our care, but our respect for their autonomy. It's about helping them navigate their later years with the dignity and freedom they've earned over a lifetime. And as families, it's crucial that we remember this. Our loved ones, even in their older years, still want to be the architects of their own lives. They still want the freedom to make decisions, big and small, and we must honor that. As we continue to discuss the importance of respecting the independence of our elderly loved ones, it's essential to remember that caring for aging parents isn't just about offering help when needed, it's about creating a relationship rooted in understanding, patience, and empathy. And with that comes the responsibility to not only care for their physical needs, but also to nurture their emotional well-being. Let me share some practical advice that I've learned over the years working with older adults. First and foremost, open communication is key. It's easy for us, as children or caregivers, to assume that we know what's best for our aging parents. But in reality, they are the ones who have lived through it all. They are the ones with the stories, the wisdom, and the experience. So, the first step in caring for them as they grow older is to truly listen. Ask them how they're feeling, physically and emotionally, and make sure they know that their opinions and desires still matter. Allow them the space to share their thoughts, fears, and hopes. Let them feel like they are still in control of their own lives. Next, it's crucial to help them maintain their sense of purpose. Many seniors struggle with feeling like they no longer have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. This is where small, thoughtful gestures can make a huge difference, whether it's encouraging them to pursue a hobby they've always loved or helping them stay socially connected with friends and family. It's important to remind them that they still matter, that they still have something valuable to contribute. Another piece of advice I'd offer is to be mindful of their mental health. As we age, loneliness and isolation can become significant challenges. It's essential to keep them connected to their social circles and encourage regular activities that boost their mood. Simple acts like taking them out for a walk, engaging in conversation, or even doing a fun activity together can help reduce feelings of isolation and improve their mental health. Of course, there's also the practical aspect of caregiving, helping them manage their health. This could involve assisting with medications, arranging doctor's appointments, or ensuring they're eating well. But remember, your involvement doesn't have to be overwhelming or intrusive. The goal is to support, not take over. Empower them to make their own health decisions while being there to assist when necessary. Finally, it's important to recognize that caregiving is a journey. There will be moments of frustration, confusion, and even guilt. But it's okay to feel those emotions. It's part of the process. The most important thing is that you're doing your best and that you're doing it out of love. You don't have to have all the answers or know exactly how to solve every problem. What matters most is that you're there for them, offering your support and respect, and letting them know that they are never alone. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a simple thought. Caring for our elderly parents is not just about providing physical assistance, it's about keeping them emotionally healthy, feeling valued and respected as they continue to navigate their later years. And as you move forward in this journey, remember that you're not alone. We're all in this together, learning, growing, and adapting as we care for those who've always cared for us. If you found this discussion helpful, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more valuable insights and tips in our upcoming episodes. And if you feel that someone in your life could benefit from this message, share this video with them. Let's create a world where our elderly loved ones are truly seen, heard, and cared for. I'm Dr. Eleanor Hayes, and this is Aging with Grace. Take care of each other and take care of yourselves. Now, as we continue exploring the 7 secrets that many elderly individuals choose to keep hidden, I want to pause and reflect on something equally important: what these secrets really teach us. What is it that we can learn from the things our aging parents choose to keep to themselves? What do these untold stories reveal about our relationships with them and the time we have left together? The truth is, as we grow older, the value of time becomes increasingly apparent. There's something profound in the quiet way our parents or grandparents hold on to their independence, their pride, and yes, even their little secrets. They know better than anyone that life is fleeting, and in their decision to keep certain things to themselves, they are, in essence, teaching us a valuable lesson about cherishing what really matters: time, connection, and the moments we share. As you navigate your relationship with your aging loved ones, it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day concerns, the errands, the doctor's appointments, the endless to-do lists. But these secrets they keep, like the ones I've shared, serve as a reminder, life is short, and time with our parents and loved ones is precious. Every conversation, every moment spent together is an opportunity to make lasting memories. It's an opportunity to listen to their stories, to let them know they are loved and valued, and to create moments that will be cherished long after they're gone. I've seen countless families get caught in the cycle of care without truly appreciating the moments that matter most. Sometimes we focus so much on doing things right, making sure their medication is taken, their meals are prepared, their house is clean, that we forget to just be present. We forget that our parents, no matter their age, still need the same thing we've always needed: love, respect, and understanding. So, I encourage you to pause, to slow down, and take in those moments with your loved ones. If there's one thing the aging process teaches us, it's the importance of connection. Whether it's a quiet afternoon with your parent, a shared laugh over a cup of tea, or a walk through the park, these moments are the ones that count. These are the memories that will stay with you long after the years have passed. As we dive deeper into this conversation, I want you to consider what you can do with the time you have left. It's not about how many years you'll spend with your loved ones. It's about how you spend those years. Will you take the time to listen to their stories, to ask them about their past, to show them that they still matter? Will you let them share their secrets, even if they are things they might have kept hidden for years? Life is too short to live in regrets or to focus on what we can't change. Instead, let's shift our perspective. Let's embrace the precious moments we have with our parents, knowing that each one is a gift, and as we care for them, as we provide for their needs, let's also recognize the incredible wisdom and love they have to offer. Remember, as we get older, the true value of time becomes clearer. The moments we spend together, those moments that are shared in quiet, understanding, in laughter, in love, are the ones that make life meaningful. And as we continue to care for those who have cared for us, let's do so with a deeper appreciation for the fleeting beauty of time and the relationships we hold dear. I'm Dr. Eleanor Hayes, and this is Aging with Grace. Thank you for sharing this time with me today. Let's remember to cherish those precious moments with our loved ones, because time is the one thing we can never get back. Before we end today's episode, I want to take a moment to thank you for joining me on this journey through the hidden truths many older adults hold close to their hearts. It's been an honor to share these insights with you, and I truly hope that today's conversation has sparked some reflection on how we approach the aging process and our relationships with our loved ones. As we continue to navigate this beautiful yet challenging journey of life, remember that it's the small moments, those unspoken gestures of love, understanding, and support that shape our relationships with our parents, grandparents, and even ourselves. So, I encourage you to take a step back, be present, and treasure the time you have with those who mean the most to you. If this video has resonated with you, or if you have any personal experiences or thoughts you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let me know how you connect with the themes we've discussed today. What are the secrets that your loved ones keep, and how has that shaped your view of aging and caregiving? Your stories and questions are incredibly important, and they help us build a stronger, more supportive community. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on future conversations here on Senior Moments Met. We have so much more to explore together, and I would love to continue this conversation with you in upcoming episodes. Until next time, remember, life is precious, and the moments we share with our loved ones are the greatest gift we have. I'm Dr. Eleanor Hayes, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Take care and cherish those moments that matter most.